we? Hey, there we go. Hey, I actually timed the music well this time, and it appears that people can hear me as well, which is pretty awesome. Um, Folk, if you're watching early, and this is for the catch-up folk as well, share the stream. If you're watching live, share the stream now. Just like put it on any social media you want. Come join the party. But the if you're watching on catch up, stick in the comments this time. No magic word, but if you watch on catch up, just stick in the comments what device you watch it on. Are you on like watching on YouTube? Do you watch it on your phone? Do you put it on your laptop? Do you put it on the telly? Tell us what, because it'll be interesting to see what the mix is there on that front. Just making sure this is all in the right space. What we need to do is let's quickly do that. Keep putting in as well your keep putting in your bits and pieces for your team and your grade. Like I say, Jamie, we 100% stole the idea straight from you. So that is the joy of that one. What I've managed to do there is do the wrong thing. That's fine. That's annoying. Oh well, fair enough. But hey ho, either way. Phone while doing the dishes. That's an interesting one, because I do the same thing. I watch a variety of bits and pieces whilst I'm doing the dishes, it should be said. Like I say, bits and pieces are out. But yeah, if you're watching live, go share the stream out. Like, please, like, retweet it, something like that. Let's just see how many people we can get in. Zed. I think if you're outside of the playoffs, Jamie, you'd be allowed a Zed. I would allow you a Z if MK were bottom. I think I'd allow that. I don't think I can let you get away with it when you're as high up as you are. But yeah, like I say, if you can quickly share the stream out, Facebook, X, wherever, that'd be appreciated. Lots to talk about tonight as well. What I am going to do before we start properly, because we do need to get going in a mo. Have a quick swig. Oh, dearie me. It's nice, actually. The one thing I have to remember to do, aside from the fact that hydrating is always a good idea, and make sure you have water, filling this up like just before, just so the water's nice and cold out of the tap, it makes such a big difference. I can't tell you how much. Right. With that in mind, people are coming in. We'll just quickly check, make sure the feed is still fine at the other end. Clicking buttons. Folk are coming in by the look of it. Like I say, go share bits and pieces out and we'll get rocking and rolling, shall we? Guys, gals, and the gender fluid. And all beyond the binary, it is Wednesday, back where we belong. It is 8 PM, and welcome back to the BOTW What's Current stream. My name is Anthony Russell, here to take you through the weird, wonderful, and wacky world that is British ice hockey. We cover the lot of it. If it's an adult senior division in Britain, we will cover it. From Belfast to Bradford, Leeds to Lee Valley, we take in the lot. It's Elite League, it's the National Division, Division 1 and Division 2 in the north and in the south, SNL, WNIHL. If it happened in the last week in British hockey, we will take you through all the games, all the action, as well as getting all the news and your views. That's how we are going to work it in 2026. Hope you're all doing well. Very busy week, as you're about to hear from me. Big thank you to everybody who joined us last Friday, and a big thank you, of course, especially for all the kind messages that you sent back towards my wife. Of course, for those of you unfamiliar, Wednesday night is our usual night here on the What's Current stream, but my wife was very unwell last week. I don't know whether it was the flu or what it was, but she was definitely not a well bunny, but was well enough by Friday to let things kind of rock and roll. And that's the joy of kind of being my own boss when it comes to these things. Yes, we have our frequency. Yes, we do our regular bits and pieces. And yes, sometimes we have to just change bits, as we will have to next week as well. But what I was pleasantly surprised by was, people commenting on the post, private messages, of course, because Emily, my wife, you don't see her on bits and pieces. She's not interested in ice hockey. Ice hockey is very much my thing, but I regularly sing her praises and tell you all how wonderful she is for backing me and what I do. So the fact that a few of you guys were, thought enough to kind of say, send some good vibes to her, genuinely meant a lot. So thank you very much for that. Either way, though, we are back on a Wednesday night looking at all of the action from across all of the leagues of senior hockey here in Great Britain. usual bits and pieces then, as we do a little bit of housekeeping before we start. bannersonthewall.wordpress.com, your number one website for all things British hockey related. If you can follow me on my journey this season into commentary every week, as I am the match night commentator for the Guildford Flames on the live stream. And In the Box Thinking is your way of getting that inside look as to what it is like to commentate on a pro hockey team every week. Of course, you've got from last weekend the bizarrely ended game between Guildford and Coventry that the Blaze won in OT. Big shout out to Chris Beale, who's 100% logged himself into the wrong account in the chat. Well done, Chris. But yeah, so there's that there. You can go back. Every game I've commentated on this year is there in some variation, mostly written a couple of audios as well, which might have to happen this week. You've got as well any Bison game I managed to make it back to as well. Running with the Herd is back after its 2-season hiatus, which is there too, and we'll see what else we do, because there is a game upcoming. The Hockey Excursion is back for 2026, and I will be in Belfast at the end of January for the Belfast Giants and the Coventry Blaze at the SSE Arena on the 30th of January. I think that's just banners on the road. We'll figure that out there. But either way, plenty of stuff to check out there, as well as our Hockey Stories series, long form, in-depth pieces of content where some will be written, some will be in video format, where we tell stories from around the world of hockey. We speak to players, coaches, administrators, agents. We've spoken to all kinds of folk, as well as telling some stories from the past as well, from the 19th century to the present day, behind the Iron Curtain, into war and beyond. Hockey Stories is your place to get that. The next piece is still in pre-production at the moment, just been a bit busy, and this week is definitely not going to help me with any pre-production bits when it comes to Hockey Stories, but new piece coming soon. If you haven't checked out the latest piece, please go do that. Luca Tasadri, Tyler Delabatouche, we've come a long way together. Very proud of that piece. Very proud of those two young gentlemen as well. If I could post the Homer disappearing into a hedge gif, I would. Love you, Chris. Literally just had some really salty crisps as well before I came on, mate. So RSB for life on that front. Either way, of course, the other thing as well, we, like I say, whether it's a Wednesday, whether it's a Friday, live here to talk through all things British hockey, which means you get the chat on YouTube. Questions, comments, thoughts, feelings. As we talk through bits and pieces, you want to chuck something in there, put it in there. Love to have the conversation with you guys during the week. All we ask is that if you do use the chat, you do remember the golden rule here at BOTW. That is DBAD. Don't be a dick. Be respectful of other people's thoughts and feelings, and we will have a jolly good time. And of course, the joy of YouTube, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video, share the video. Always appreciated when you do. Links to the socials are down in the description as well. And you can also, as well, as I should mention again, 3D Lee, who prints 3D bits and pieces like we have here, like the sign, like the puck. It's awesome. Looks really, really good on your respective hockey shelf. Right, like I said, a few bits and pieces. We will kick off, of course, and we'll just touch very, very briefly on the very, very sad news that came out. Of course, former NHLer and former Sheffield Steeler, former Guildford Flame, former Edinburgh Capital, Jason Lafreniere, unfortunately passing away yesterday at the age of 59. Obviously, we send all of our best to folk who folk affected by that, by his family, to his friends, former teammates, and so on and so forth. Of course, had quite a big impact during his time here. The scorer of the winning playoff goal, for the game-winning goal in the playoff final for the Steelers during that period when he was with them, won the winning the playoffs, and like I say, impactful as well for the Capitals and for Guildford into that too. Quite a play for a number of clubs in the NHL into the bargain. So. Like I say, but unfortunately for me, before my time, but I did have a chance to have a look at some tape. Clearly a very, very talented player. He has now got a far better seat than we get, so we send our best to his family, and watch the Blue Line Review for us, Jason. Always appreciated, and rest well, good sir. The other thing we should probably mention, of course, is that both GB under-20s men and the under-18s women have finished their respective tournaments. GB under-18 women survive in at the end, came close, but obviously that big avoiding relegation due to Australia's poor record and then beating the Australians just to make absolutely sure. Right at the end. And then, of course, there is GB men's under-20s. That loss to Korea did cost them promotion, but a silver medal for Sean Easton and the GB under-20s. It means they're back in Division 2A next season. But it does mean, of course, that we do have a medal for all of those involved. Ben Clark-Leach named netminder of the tournament. And of course, we would be loath not to mention a friend of the show, graphic creator extraordinaire, Max Van Mullen of the Romford Buccaneers and the Romford Raiders. Now, Max, Fortunately, did not manage to get any ice time during this tournament. That is the nature of such things when you go in as the known backup goalie. And as we know, Ben Clark-Leach is very, very much in the spotlight at the moment. But we will say it here publicly. Max does a lot for this show. When he found out he was, I will tell this story now because I can. When he found out he was being called up, because of course he was a late replacement for Archie Blakely, who got injured. Max did 2 weeks worth of graphics in a very short space of time to make sure this show didn't go without, and he would have been well within his rights to skip the lot of them. This is an extra, a sidebar that Max does because of some of his work that he does at college. It is a bit of a quid pro quo. I get graphics because I am a terrible graphic designer, and Max gets practice for the stuff he's doing for college. But the kind of young man that he is, and if you've not met Max, you would be. He's a very, very calm, chilled out, very well adjusted young man, which in today's world is really, really, which is quite shocking. But he obviously as well is a very, very good netminding prospect. The fact that Max didn't get to play any minutes in this tournament is a shame. It is what it is on that front. But Max has also got time. Max is really talented in goal, and I think people like Chris, who's in the chat, and Jonathan Akers. I can see you in there as well, and we'll have a look at those grades from you giving your teams in a minute. But just genuinely super proud of Max and all he's managed to do. I am a little bolt on to that big support network he has around him, led by his parents Eric and Tanya. So to see someone who has done quite a lot for us up here who converge on a Wednesday night, to see Max be able to get that opportunity to just be part of all of that is really, really cool. And I sent him a message saying I've got to see a photograph of that medal, and he he very politely said, "I'm just with my friends at the moment." It's like, I didn't mean now, dummy. You can do it later. So eventually to get a photograph of him with Ben Clark-Leach and their medal. So eventually I asked it. I even got one of where he of him back home with one as well. Just like I say, Max, because I know occasionally you'll kind of pop in and watch back later. From all of us here who gather on a Wednesday night for the most part to chat about British hockey, to you, congrats, mate. It is only the beginning for that young man. I'm very, very certain of that, knowing what his work ethic is like. Either way, let's have a look then as people put in the chat, and keep putting in throughout the show your grade, mid-season grade for your team. Let's have a quick look at what we've got then, because Dave has chucked in a couple, because as we know, Dave has one team in the men's game and one team in the women's game. Raiders, D-, not a failure of the players. They are trying their best. Kodiaks, the Cambridge Kodiaks in the WNIHL, get an A from Dave. They are more than holding their own in the higher league. They are crushing it. Great to hear. And I know, Dave, you've travelled around a fair bit watching the Kodiaks, so I'm sure they are very grateful of your support into the bargain. John Akers, Dynamos get a B, have competed better. D has been much improved. As well. Andrew Day, of course, heavily involved in a bunch of places, but he gives an A grade to the Queen Bees. I think that's pretty fair, given they are back in the title hunt after slightly falling off last year and losing out to Solihull. Jamie, of course, whose post on Facebook inspired this bit. For those wondering, I gave the MKL a grade F. A lot of Lightning fans are questioning whether Tim Wallace is still the man to take the Lightning forward. They will see. And Chris has given give us a B plus for Streatham. We've done well in the mix, but need to stop making life difficult for ourselves and kill teams off in games as entertaining as the Chelmsford game was. Ready Sorted Bandits for life. That is the Ready Sorted Bandits on myself, Chris, and my wife Emily. It dates back to our time pre Nathan, where we all went to wrestling together in London, and unfortunately doesn't happen anymore. But this does not mean that the bandit life has ended. What's John said here? Have been very impressed in both games I've seen. Max and Ben, both are very, very impressive. I always take time to try and find out when I know Max has been in a game to kind of hunt out highlights and kind of watch him and see how he does. Obviously, a lot of growing to do, but he is going to be one to watch for sure. And we already know that Ben Clark-Leach has been very impressive for both Swindon and Basingstoke this year. But yeah, great results, I think, ultimately for the GB men and for the women's under-18s. We'll have a harder look at the women's under-18s when we hit the WNHL portion later on in the show, because Andrew has has provided us with his WNIHL roundup for us, which includes the women's bits. Of course, no Elite League for the women until the back end of this month. Not tons, like I said, just double checking because there are a few other bits of news. Of course, the news out of Solway today that Jake Bolton has been released from his contract, and this has mostly been generated by the fact that there is a new face in Solway, and initially, it was a lot of people thought, oh, well, he's born in Britain, and therefore he is British, but that is not necessarily how it has worked out. Mostly because now, firstly, Bolton, somebody from Solway had to go because they now officially have 6 imports registered on the roster, which did cause them a problem because even though he has a British passport, he says quickly pulling up the full name because I'm going to say his full name and not part of his name. Just got to get this there. There we are, roster. Because I want to see, he is down. Just trying to dig it out here because there he is. It's Leon, because his first name is Leon, but there it is. Leon Okonkwo Prada is another new addition to the newest addition to the Solway Sharks. So born in Colchester, but all of his hockey has been played abroad. Developed a little bit, spent some time in Eindhoven in Holland, spent a chunk of time with the Red Bull Academy in Austria, and then for the rest of the time has mostly played in Sweden. A bit of time in the WHL with the Seattle Thunderbirds, but otherwise time developing with Rögle, with Södertälje, and then time in the Hockeyettan, which is their third tier, and a little bit of time, but I could get a couple of games in the Allsvenskan into the bargain before, played 21 games with 13 points for Enköping in the Hockeyettan, and 1 game on loan in the Hockey Allsvenskan before coming over. He played his first game on Saturday night for the Sharks before being rotated out of the lineup. So Solway now running 5 imports, and of course 6 is you were allowed to have 5 registered at any one time. So having 6 meant somebody had to go. Jake Bolton leaving for family reasons. Everyone thought Prada fell into the Liam Stewart mould of British player, but apparently not. So my understanding is the way this worked is that now he is back in Britain, he has to play, I believe, a year and a half. It's either a year and a half or 2 years here, and then his classification will flip because he has a British passport, but has never played in Britain, but he is British born, and it's slightly different than somebody acquiring a passport from living here. So, for example, somebody like Evan Mosey, who Cardiff Devils player who plays for Team GB, can never be a homegrown player. But certainly within the rules of the national division, he can be eventually classified as a Brit if he spends enough time here, just because of the nature of the things. It is a Liam Stewart-esque situation. Now, of course, as people remember, Liam Stewart played in the Elite League for a time before dropping into the NIHL. It is very complicated, but yeah, essentially, Leon needs to play about, like I said, as far as I'm aware, he needs to play a year and a half here before he becomes a Brit under league rules. This is different from Ivan Björkley-Nordström. They got wrong. Ivan Björkley-Nordström should have been British classified as soon as he played because the rule is 2 years of junior development between under 10s and under 18s, which Ivan already had. They just got that one wrong. They thought he was a Liam Stewart situation. He was not. Because the Liam Stewart situation is somebody with a passport of one country, having never played hockey, and only played hockey there, but never having the nationality another nationality. That was the issue for Liam Stewart. Doesn't have an American passport, doesn't have a Canadian passport, only has a British one, but had only played hockey abroad. So there is a mechanism now for that. Ivan Björkley-Nordström being classed as an import when he came to Peterborough the first time around was them just getting it wrong. They scuffed that up, but didn't hurt Peterborough in the long run. So everyone's a winner on that front as far as it goes. But yeah, an interesting move from Solway, and of course a lot of talk about fifth imports. Of course, Leeds now with obviously Sam Dunn's out of the lineup because he's injured, but they have signed Owen Sobchuk. Hull ran 5 to now run 4, and then Swindon, of course. There's the big the big news, because of course Cade Villegas. Swindon fans, how are we saying this guy's name? Because I foolishly forgot to check in with Ben Callahan and get a pronunciation. But a big start for him and a 5.9. Doesn't Disco have a New Zealand passport though? He does, but he never played hockey there either. At the point where he was told he needed to guess his nationality. The New Zealand League don't run their import system in the same way that we do. So with here, the homegrown classification is off the basis of where you play your junior, but a lot of other places don't do that. New Zealand and Australia, once you have your permanent residency, you are classified as an Australian or a New Zealand player, and they don't count against each other's import caps. So, for example, if you are a New Zealand player, you can go and play in the AIHL, you can play in the, I'm not sure about the second tiers in Australia at state level, but certainly in the AI, you do not count as an import if you are from New Zealand. And my understanding is that and my understanding from the NZIHL is Australians can play there as local players in that kind of designation. The rules are slightly different, but it's the same thing as well. In the DEL, German, once you get your German passport, you don't count as an import anymore, and that's how they classify it. This league is getting expensive. Small teams will be struggling soon. Well, I think, like I say, I think we all have to make ourselves rectified to the fact that the national division is going to be a 5-import league next year. I don't think we can sidestep that anymore. You'd think as well, with Solway tooling up and getting another import, that Basingstoke will probably be asking Steve Nell for some sort of rectification on that front. Of course, Romford are sticking to their 4, and yes, it might be getting expensive, but Andrew Coxhead appears to have hit the ground running for the Raiders. A really, really productive weekend from him, and a few Raiders fans I spoke to that aren't Dave were very, very impressed with his opening weekend. So you can do it. You can do it within the rules as well, but I think as well it's too easy a fix to just keep adding imports in. There has to be work. It has to be work in terms of bringing those players through. How many imports was it when the EPL died? It was a 5-import league when the EPL died, and it died more to do with a bunch of things in the background more than it was necessarily, I think, unnecessary to think about just adding too many imports. Guildford and Milton Keynes had their reasons for going to the Elite League when they did, and of course we lost Manchester, and that definitely wasn't specifically related to an import thing. That was multitude of years of problems that went into that one there. So yes, but it was a 5-import league in the EPL when things died. Oh, excuse me. Or just smack the computer with the elbow. That'd be a really good plan, Anthony. It was 5, but it's the best version of EPL. Red Hockey killed the EPL. I don't necessarily disagree with that argument, Jamie. I think there's other aspects to it, but I think certainly Red Hockey was a really, really big thing in that thing. Remember, of course, actually as well, there's a name for you, for Wayne Scholes. Who was the first person to interview Wayne Scholes? Here. The fact we're edging towards our 15th anniversary as well, I've been looking back at some of the things we've done. That's the other thing to think about as well. What do we do to celebrate the 15th birthday? To celebrate 15 years of BOTW and me writing myself into a hole every year? I should sit down and figure out how many words I've done. That would take a while. It would be very interesting to see how much I've done in 15 years. Of course, we hit the 1,000th piece on the website about a year ago. Red Hockey. Oh boy, maybe that's the anniversary piece. Dave, Google Telford Tigers and Wayne Scholes, and I will leave you to that one. Or go hunt back into the BOTW back catalogue for that one. Either way, we should probably have a look at some of the bits and pieces from last weekend around the leagues in Great Britain, starting as we usually do in the Elite League as we head back to Friday. When of course we were on, and well, some of the scores turned out very different than we were expecting, because when we left the show, Coventry were cruising and then stuffed it up 3-0 after 33 minutes and lost in overtime to Dundee. Not the weirdest part of the weekend for Coventry by any stretch of the imagination. Also, a good solid win for Glasgow. slowly been turning a corner, albeit they're going to have to do so now without starting netminder Sami Aitakalio, the Finn placed on the injury reserve by the Clan, and the Clan have brought in another goalkeeper who, not having my notes to hand, I will quickly pull up his name. Where has he gone? That's all stuff to do with. Is it Jason Soulier? There we go. Is the name of the netminder the Clan have added as injury cover. Albeit, Lucas Bryan took the net for both games across the weekend for the Clan and certainly got some points on Friday evening. Into Saturday, there was me and this game, which was not the greatest example of hockey skill and had the weirdest ending of any game. And I say genuinely, if you've not seen the overtime winner for the Coventry Blaze in this game from Saturday, go check out the highlights. If you go to my piece about in the box for in the box thinking over on banners-on-the-wall.wordpress.com, I always put the highlights in the piece so you can check them out. It is the strangest overtime winner I have ever seen in my life. Genuinely. Either way, the Flames were a goal up, then 2-1 down. Did get a point out of this one, but the Blaze managing to recover. They go to overtime twice in 2 days, but they do get the extra point out of Saturday night. A good win for the Storm against the Cardiff Devils. 2-1 win for Manchester there. Fife turning over Sheffield, a pretty impressive performance. David Booth and Milan Lucic both adding to the scoring there. The Flyers winning 7-4 at home against the Steelers. 2 defeats in 2 nights on their Scottish triple header. And then it was top of the table action, and the Belfast Giants, who started pretty slow and felt like they came out of the CHL very sluggish, with a 4-1 win in the SSE over the Nottingham Panthers and slowly dragging themselves back into title contention. In Sunday then, the Giants have put themselves up to second with a 4-1 win at home over Manchester. Cardiff got back to winning ways. They shut out the Glasgow Clan by a 0-0 at the Vindico. Sheffield did get some points out of Scotland. They battered Dundee, who seem to be on an absolute horror show of a run. Their only recent win coming against a very tired, short-benched Guildford side. And then Fife had a good Saturday, a less good Sunday. The Panthers keeping themselves very much in the discussion ahead of their run in the Continental Cup with a 7-3 win at the NIC over the Flyers. And as we see there, though, the Giants have talked themselves back into title contention. The Panthers are top of the table, but the Giants, with 2 games in hand over the Panthers, are within striking distance of taking top spot in the league. And if you look at those goals for and against over the other side, the Giants have only conceded 58 goals. Devils have only conceded 57. The Panthers need to shore themselves up a little bit at the back. Sheffield down to 4th after only picking up 2 points this weekend, followed by Manchester. Guildford and Glasgow both tied on 29, though as you can see the goal difference is markedly different. Glasgow only scoring 66 goals in 28 games to the Flames 82. Coventry then, with their 3 points out of the weekend, have given themselves a very handy 9-point cushion over the Stars and the Flyers. The Stars still have 3 games in hand on the Blaze, but the way they've been playing at the moment, you wouldn't put your house on them catching them up anytime soon. Into the fixtures then this upcoming weekend. Friday, and another big game with title implications on the line at the SSE. The Giants and the Steelers, Friday night lights on the banks of the Lagan, and Manchester take on Glasgow. And then the start of a very busy day, busy week for me. Evening Mark, thanks for joining in. But yes, not only is it so this is my first of 4 games in 8 days in terms of commentary. We will be live on Flames TV 6 p.m. for the first visit of the newly minted Fife Flyers. They've played in Guildford already this season. The Flames comfortably winning that encounter, but now we have Booth, we have Lucic, we have the whole new circus of Fife coming to town. It's a 6 p.m. face-off. You can join us live on Flames TV. I'll be live from about the 5:55, 5:50 mark to talk you through a couple of hours worth of hockey action. So do join us for that one if you are so inclined. Elsewhere on Saturday night, the Dundee Stars and the Coventry Blaze will try again after Dundee's win at the Sky Dome last week. Cardiff take on Manchester, and Belfast and Sheffield's second part of their double header on Saturday night at the SSE. Oops, smashed me out again then. That actually quite hurt. Jammed my finger there, that's really annoying. And then into Sunday, and as you can see, I'm back. It's another 6 p.m. face-off, though having been the early game on Saturday, we are the late game on Sunday in Guildford. Guildford and Cardiff. Now these two sides had played heading and had a bit of a bizarre trail of games where all the games in Guildford ended 1-0 and all the games in Cardiff ended up 7-1 until the Flames turned things around on New Year's Day and a really impressive 5-3 win over a faltering Devils. They now meet back at the Spectrum this coming Sunday evening. Again, 6 p.m. face-off live from about 5:50ish to take you through that one. Elsewhere on Sunday, a set 2 in Scotland. Will we get a square go between the Fife Flyers and the Dundee Stars? Remains to be seen. And then back to classic Coventry Blaze night Sunday at the Sky Dome for the Blaze and the Clan. And then, of course, there's that game at the bottom, and that's Wednesday next week, which means, of course, no What's Current stream next Wednesday. We will move ourselves back to Friday because I will be commentating on the Guildford Flames and the Belfast Giants. That will be a 7:30 face-off at the Spectrum. Really looking forward to that as well. I do enjoy watching Belfast. Should be a good one all in all. And then into the National Division, because of course plenty of hockey and plenty of three-game weekends all around, and a pretty bad start for the Basingstoke Bison in a big weekend that could have really given them some huge push in the playoff race. They drop a goose egg at home. Romford winning by 3-0. And as you know, as we were chatting on the stream, the Raiders were 2-0 up by the time we finished. Solway as well, knowing they had a double header at home against Basingstoke, were 2-0 up against the Sheffield Steel Dogs before the Steel Dogs overpowered them and pushed their way past. A 5-2 win for Slava Kulikov's side as they look to keep pace with the Swindon Wildcats. Into Saturday then, as we know, Leeds managed to overcome Swindon. Leeds Knights are into the cup final, having managed to ask the questions again about Swindon. Can they win the big one when it counts? Well, they maybe sort of run out a puff a little bit. A big win for Peterborough on Saturday night at the Castle, 5-3 win for Ashley Tate's side, and then Swindon took out their loss in missing out of the cup final by absolutely kicking the snot out of Telford, 9-1. And a pretty impressive 5-point night for Cade Vilgas, or however we're pronouncing his name. I do need to check that out. That's on me. But like I say, a pretty impressive first night for the new import for Swindon as they absolutely dominate in the Kitty Cat Bowl. Down in the southwest, a solid win for Bristol as they look to keep their playoff chances alive, beating Romford by 4-2. And then, well, we knew it was going to be an interesting weekend with these two playing home and home. And MK get the points at home against Hull in a game that was a bit of a ding-dong set 2. Jordan Spadafor, don't sit there chirping from the bench. If you're going to engage Bobby Chamberlain, would you? It's much more fun when you do. And then in Solway, Basingstoke were 4-1 up after 40 minutes and lost in OT. Because fine, and somewhere Romford fans are chuckling about that because irony is hilarious. But either way, a big win for Solway, coming all the way back in the third period and then stealing the win in overtime to get themselves the larger share of the points. And into Sunday then, and well, we've all been talking about it because there are a lot of Bison and a lot of Sharks heading their way to the naughty step. I will say this. There is something to be said about people saying Max Wright fired a puck into the crowd. Firstly, if Max Wright's fired a puck into the crowd on purpose, one, if you're going to try and deliberately hurt somebody at a hockey game, there's much easier ways to do it. And secondly, where is the video of this happening? Because ultimately, he may have just shot a puck away. That might be the big thing here. Either way, there are a lot. Viegas. Oh, okay. Viegas is reasonable. That makes sense. I can live with that. Thank you very much, Casey. Happy birthday for the other day. What we will pull out very, 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 very quickly. Let's just have a quick look and see if we can get the full list of people who are heading towards the naughty step, which of course the National Division have not put on their own website, which is really annoying. They've not put their own Twitter account, sorry. Viegas, there we are. Discipline update. That's all from... There we go. If we go to there. Game review panel from Sunday. So, the following penalties have been sent to the Department of Player Safety from Solway versus Basingstoke on Sunday. So from the Sharks, Scott Henderson, Torrin Anderson, which is fair, don't slash a goalie and incite people. Olivia Arsenault and Kel Beattie. From the Bison, Liam Morris, Zach Milton, Zach Shankar, Hallam Wilson, which if you've watched Basingstoke for long enough is kind of hilarious, and Will Stead. So all are heading towards DOPS. That could be a huge issue for both for both sides. Obviously frustrating for Shankar as well, having missed a bit of time from injury. But yeah, certainly the one thing that I saw out of this, and people a lot of people complaining about Zach Morris chasing after Torren Anderson and dropping the gloves and jumping him. Don't slash the goalie. That's the only thing I would say to Torren Anderson on that one. Irrespective of how light a tap it was, off the back of that, don't slash the goalie. Just looking at what's that on the chat. Red Hockey was what have we got here? Let me skip down right at the wrong moment. Red Hockey owned Telford and Manchester, so they owned Telford outright. They invested into Manchester. They also invested into Bracknell. Manchester had issues with it certainly had money issues for quite some time, which is why Red Hockey came in. But essentially, it was run in a very, very poor, unsustainable way, where a man with a lot of money wanted his team to dominate, paid guys far too much above market rate, started an arms race, and eventually it caused pretty much the collapse of the second tier in Great Britain, which is what we're rebuilding from now. All things considered, but it is what it is on that front. But yes, Red Hockey did have shares in Bracknell as well. Steelers doing their Belfast doubleheader weekend with the Sheffield Arena being used for the World Figure Skating Championships. Yeah, it makes total sense. But yeah, elsewhere on Sunday, Cats come from behind in a seesaw battle. Romford, for all of their issues this year, have at least made sure that they keep punching in games in a metaphorical sense. Cats, though, do come back and win it in regulation 5-4. Hull turn it around on MK, which of course has the MK fans spitting blood again. Like I say, it's been a very, very inconsistent year, and I totally appreciate why MK fans, who of course expect a lot from their team, I think we all do, but certainly another frustrating road loss, shipping 7 goals on the road is a tough one. Peterborough had a good Saturday, less good on Sunday though. Bristol coming out of the weekend with 4 points. They get a shootout win over in Peterborough, and Telford do rebound from getting absolutely pounded by Swindon. 6-3 win over the Steel Dogs, which of course Swindon will be chuckling about, because that only helps out the Wildcats, because as we look at the top of the table, Arundel's side are very much in the driver's seat. 3 points clear of Sheffield, 12 points clear of Leeds. They have played a game more than the Knights, but they have 3 games in hand over the Sheffield Steel Dogs. Arundel's side are looking in a very, very commanding position. The Cup, of course, they could not get over the line in the moment, but the league is a different beast. Can Swindon pick up their first title of the National Division era, having come so close during the 2 years that Telford won it? Speaking of the Tigers, they and Peterborough are tied on 39 points. MK in 6th on 36. Hull on 35 and Bristol on 28. They have the tiebreakers over Romford, have played 2 games less as well than the Raiders. So the Pitbulls at the moment are in the playoffs on the inside looking out. Basingstoke have 2 games in hand on Bristol and 4 games in hand on Romford, are only trailing by 2 points. If the Bison can get back to winning ways, they should push themselves into the playoff spots. And the Sharks, well, they got some points out of the weekend and have clawed themselves back to within 3 points of Basingstoke, but they have played 3 games more than Jeff Flanagan's side. But then, of course, we talked about him earlier. Big thanks to Max, because the second semi-final of the National Division Cup is almost upon us. Tomorrow night, the first leg between the Sheffield Steel Dogs and the Peterborough Phantoms. The second leg is next Wednesday, so Muggins here will be keeping tabs on that one from high above the Guildford Spectrum. Who will face Leeds in the Cup final? Can the Steel Dogs and this newly invigorated roster that is mounting a title charge, can they make it to the Cup final this year under Slava Kulikov, a man who's won multiple Cup and playoff trophies? Or will his old team, the team he led for over a decade, will we get a repeat of the 2023 National Division Cup final and see another player go headfirst into the plexiglass at Leeds? We will figure that one out over the next week or so. We send our best to both sides. Into the fixtures this weekend, then Saturday, and what should be a pretty interesting one. And one in some ways I'm a little bit sad I'm not able to go to. Basingstoke versus Hull. This could be interesting, especially given some of the actions of both sides last weekend. Bristol take on Leeds down in the southwest. Solway welcome MK up. If you're heading up there, apparently the plan is all tartan everywhere for that one for both sides. And a huge one in the context of the league title charge. Swindon, Sheffield, Saturday night at the Link Centre, and and you have to think that this is a must-win game for Slava Kulikov's side. Elsewhere, Telford take on Peterborough on Saturday night in Shropshire. On Sunday, Hull take on Swindon at the Wellsworth Versatile Arena, Leeds and Bristol at the Castle. Peterborough welcome Basingstoke, who are looking for some revenge after their trip down to Hampshire recently. Romford take on Telford, and the second part of Solway and MK. That's the top two divisions. We'll quickly pop ourselves back on the full screen and have a chat about bits and pieces. Questions, comments, thoughts, feelings, stick anything you want in the chat. Up to 300 Lightning fans making the trip up to Dumfries this weekend. I won't be one of them. I'll be watching Watford versus Millwall in the Championship football. Won't lie, Jamie, you've chosen poorly there. I can't help but feel we should have gone to Dumfries, mate. That being said, Lightning fans, if you are not, I don't know, I believe it's probably close to a sellout, but for those of you who aren't travelling up, I know the Lightning are holding like watch parties at the Holiday Inn in MK. If you're going to that, do enjoy yourself as well. But of course, if you're travelling up to Dumfries, having done that trip, one of my favourite places I've ever watched hockey, a fantastic place to go and check bits and pieces out. So do enjoy yourself, safe travels as well, because the weather's all over the place at the moment. I did have to chuckle mentioning Watford there, Jamie, only because it was announced today, pre-season friendly in July, Watford versus Hansa Rostock at Vicarage Road. And I can't lie, as a Hansa Rostock member, where's my thing? Because I am a Hansa Rostock member. There is my membership. There is my membership badge. I've got the card I keep the card in my wallet. So the fact that Hansa are coming over here and playing is amazing. Couldn't get a ticket. I'm sorry to hear that, mate. I'd go up and go in the home fans. They won't care. It's always such a relaxed place. But yeah, plenty of exciting bits and pieces going on. I'll be in the penalty box for the Bison home game. It could be a busy night for me. Hey, Bobby Chamberlain. There's fun to be had. You do feel, though, that Bobby, for his many eccentricities, would just appreciate a good gloves off set too. The issue being, of course, there's nobody around for Basingstoke to fight him now. Watford is my family football team and where my family are from. I still would have gone to Dumfries, Jamie, I won't lie. I have been to Vicarage Road once in my life, weirdly not to watch football. I won tickets on a phone-in on BBC Radio 5 Live when I was a teenager. I ended up getting tickets to watch Saracens versus Cardiff at Vicarage Road, which was a thing. Back in the day when Cardiff got kicked out of the Welsh Rugby League, got kicked out of the league in Wales, so they were playing sort of like just playing friendlies against everybody. Very strange thing, but I do definitely remember going. And like I say, I'm interested to see what I do because I can get tickets through. Being a member of Hansa Rostock, I can get tickets through that. Well, it depends on the DOPS outcome, I guess. Indeed, it will, Mark. DOPS usually meet tonight to do bits and pieces. We should start hearing things in the next couple of days as to suspensions and the like. Very interested to see what goes on. Of course, Max Wright not sent for supplementary discipline. So if he's firing pucks into the crowd, you can try again at the weekend, apparently. But it should be should be an interesting one there for sure. What we will do very quickly, because we do need to have a quickly go and check what is going on with our friends from the Nottingham Panthers and see what is going on. We need to get and just check what is happening in the Continental Cup so far, because we saw Henning Blue Fox did manage to get themselves par with a 4-1 win over Le Ducs d'Angers, coached by former Nottingham Panthers coach Jonathan Paradis. At the moment, by the looks of it, it is 2-0 Nottingham over HK Mogo. We'll just quickly see if we can skip back. They are in the third period at the moment. Just double checking. Diedrich Henbrandt with one goal for the Panthers, the other coming to Brendan Harris. So the Panthers 2-0 up at the moment and heading towards the latter stages of the Continental Cup as it stands. Mogo literally have just hit the crossbar though, apparently, so we will roll with that one. I'm looking forward though to seeing the Lightning in their retro jerseys a week on Sunday versus the Bison. I won't lie, Jamie, I don't like them. I think they look like clip art. Let's No, what am I? Look at this strange. Cameras are wonky. There we go. I appreciate MK going down the retro route, but not the like I say, not for me. I'm not a big fan of them, I must confess. Just hope they fix the glass panel at the scoreboard end. 3 times failed in games this season. Yeah, it's been a bit of a strange one. A bit of a strange one, that one. Just not, teething problems with the new rink, as it's in that sort of sense, I think is probably the fairest way to describe that. But if that's all we end up struggling with, is a little bit of a glass panel having a bit of a wonky thing, given what we've gone through before, Basingstoke fans don't mind that won't mind such a thing in the slightest. Right, what we will do, so like I say, Panthers leading by 2-0 at the moment in the Continental Cup. They're in the third period there. So we will go and we'll just very, very quickly double check, because we will keep we will try and keep things working away as they should do, unlike the Olympic Ice Hockey Arena in Milan, which is apparently getting better slowly. A few bits and pieces, of course. Teams have got their Pride jerseys coming out. EIHL Pride Week, Elite League Pride Week, National EIHA Pride Week, EIH Pride Week coming out as well. So lots and lots of jerseys appearing in short order. Did like the Blaze one that came out today. I thought that one was very, very good. I have been given a sneak preview of the Guildford one, so I will not spoil it for you. I'm very interested to see what the reaction is, especially given the fact that there is a bit of a twist, a retro twist to the shirt this time around. That being said, I think the Flames deserve massive credit for the third jersey and letting that get designed. The fact it was partly designed by the team is really interesting, that third jersey, because it is absolutely gorgeous as a result. The original logo from 2002 and very popular with the Lightning fan base. Absolutely fine, Jamie. It's just not for me. It's not visually appealing to me, and that's irrespective of the fact that I'm not a Lightning fan or not. Which doesn't do anything for me. I'm sure though, if the MK fan base love it, more power to them. It's your shirt, it's your logo, it's your club. If you guys like it, knock yourselves out. It's absolutely fine. You guys can go and enjoy that. What we will do very quickly, let's have a quick look at our friends north of the border as we have a look towards things in the SNL, the Scottish National League, with a busy weekend. Only 3 games on Saturday and 2 on the Sunday. Of course, not as active a league at times as some of the others, though we are still in that bit post Christmas where not everybody's fully back up to speed. Either way, a plethora of goals on Saturday, and it should be said, Kirkcaldy, look at the pattern, look at how wonderful this could have been if you'd managed to work that out. But either way, I don't think the Kestrels will mind too much. A trip up to North Ayr to take on the Wild, and a big 7-1 win for the Kestrels. Elsewhere, the Rockets back to winning ways, and you think of some of the players. Obviously, Paisley losing Gary Simpson to the Edinburgh Capitals in recent weeks. But the Rockets put a rocket right up the Paisley Pirates. 8-1 win for the defending league champions. And meanwhile, Edinburgh keep the pressure on as they look towards the SNL title. A big win for them, 8-1 away in Aberdeen. Sunday, only the 2 games, but no goals for either away side. It was always going to be a tough run for Solway, taking on a Paisley side that was going to try and rebound from that hammering the night before. And they put the Sharks to the sword. A 4-0 win for the Pirates at home in Braehead. And then Whitley versus our friends in Kilmarnock. God love you, Thunder, but this was always going to be an uphill battle. And Whitley give the Thunder absolutely no quarter. They as well looking towards a potential run at the SNL title at the first time of asking. 9-0 Warriors, your final. And then as we have a quick look at the SNL table. At the moment, as you can see, Edinburgh in the driving seat. 4 games in hand on Whitley and a point clear. They have a game in hand on Dundee and are 2 points clear of the Rockets at the minute. A bad weekend for Paisley, of course. That heavy loss to the Rockets puts them a little bit behind the 8 ball. They have 3 games. They play 3 games more than the Rockets and 4 more than the Capitals when it comes to the title charge. Kirkcaldy in 5th on 27, followed by Aberdeen, North Ayr and Solway in the playoffs. Our friends at Kilmarnock, well, the line reads 18 played, 18 defeats, 32 scored and 220 goals against. That's an average of 12.23 goals against per game for our friends at Kilmarnock as they look to avoid a place in the Goose Egg Club at the end of the season. What we'll then do As what Jamie said there, hoping to do just what I did last season with Pride Weekend. Just be yourself, and everyone will be happy. Absolutely. We'll talk more about Pride Weekend when we get towards that, because yeah, it's a big important thing to do. Either way, we will swap across, and of course for NIHL Divisions 1 and 2, we use the fantastic box scores that you can find on NIHLstats.wordpress.com from the brilliant Joe Scutts. Looking forward to hanging out with Joe on Sunday because he's coming up to join me on Sunday at the Flames versus Devils game. Of course, Joe, if you aren't familiar, is also the match night streaming voice of the Basingstoke Bison. So obviously very, very proud to have my friend doing bits and pieces there. Either way, let's have a look. Starting as we usually do in North 1. And well, Blackburn apparently really, really want the title. I think is probably the only way to look at this one. Again, a game that only had 4 minutes worth of penalties. The Nottingham Lions given an absolute kicking. 12-0. More impressive the fact that it was 6-0 after 40 minutes. That is a hell of a final period from the Hawks. As you can see there, 57 shots to 21, a 4.9 for Sam Zajac, a 6.9 for Adam Barnes, a 4.9 for Andy McKinney. So 2 goals each from McKinney and Barnes, 2 for Jacob Lutwich, as well as goals from Sam Zajac, Tom Barry, Liam Charnock, Dylan Hullaby, getting on the score sheet, and Cade King and Bobby Streetley. As we look there, poor Isaac Ballinger still making 45 saves. So fair play to that young man. A pretty calm night between the pipes for Harrison Walker, just taking the 21 shots across 60 minutes. Into Shropshire then, and well, Telford seems to have had Billingham's number a little bit this year. The Stars officially are a 500 hockey club, 12 wins and 12 defeats. Can you consider consider how dominant they were last year? It's a bit of an adjustment period now for the Stars. Either way, the Tigers win by 6 goals to 3 in this one, as they look to maintain the pressure heading towards the playoffs. Goals for the Tigers, 2 for Vladimir Luka, because of course 2 for Tom Byrne. Goals as well from Jason Silverthorne and Dan Mitchell. The goals for the Stars, 2 for James Moss and 1 from Ian Brown. And then another local derby, and well, it was a pretty close one. Not Blackburn, not close at all. These two sides seem to like having a real good old go at each other, and we've had some pretty impressive games off the back of it. Widnes a goal up, and then Jake Witkowski tying things with a second left in the second period, and Ross Kennedy's late winner, meaning that the Deeside Dragons get the full 3 points from this one. Robbie Thompson with the goal for the Wild in this one, and of course, if we scroll our way down, our friend Tyler wasn't involved. We almost had the Della Batouche versus Tasadri look out there. Luca, friend of the show, of course, will occasionally pop into the chat. 46 saves and only conceding 2 goals. A pretty good night there as well for Jace Gledhill, another promising young prospect with a 28 save performance for him. Solihull, who have slightly fallen away in recent weeks, but they managed to get themselves an important win against the Hull Jets, an overtime winner from Jake Riley, securing the extra point for the Barons. They were 3-2 down heading into the third period before Henry Adams got things back on level terms. The other Solihull goals coming from Alex White and Nicholas Otterson. Hull's goals in this one coming from Richie Hagar, Kieran Beach and Felix Sorensen. As we scroll down here though, another one where the home side were putting anything and everything. A pretty impressive performance from Dan Crowe, 44 saves on 48 against a 23 save performance at the other end from Graham Laverick. The Dragons and the Wild about faced and then went and played in North Wales. If you've not seen one of Jake Witkowski's goals, I believe it's the first goal to make it 2-0. It is absolutely mind-blowingly ridiculous. Also, should be said, the Dragons are trialling streaming bits and pieces over the last couple of weeks, so there is video of that on the Deeside Dragons Facebook page. It is a ridiculous goal, and as you can see there now, where are we at that point? 18 plus 6, so they have played 24 games, and Jake Witkowski has 48 goals and 47 assists. We're into silly season again in North Wales. Either way, the important one there is that Deeside 3-0 up. Widnes give them a scare though. Jay Witkowski with 2 goals. Jared Dickinson with the opener in the second period for the Dragons. Jordan Jolly and Michael Gilbert run it close as they tie things up, as Wild get it to 3-2 with 2 minutes 45 left, but not to be in the end. And we did We got another battle of Jace Gledhill and Luca Tassandri. Tassandri there, as you can see, facing the better part of I believe it's 99 shots across the 2 days, and only conceding 5 goals. A pretty impressive performance in net from our friend Luca. Jace Gledhill with 28 saves on the night there. And then the big one, Billingham were aiming for it. They wanted to make a statement and say they were not going to go quietly. But the Blackburn Hawks pick up their 24th win of the North 1 season. They are 24-0-2, as you can see there. Pretty crazy stuff all in all. And the Hawks come out of Billingham with the points. Billingham ran it close, and as you can see, tied at 2-2, tied at 4-4 before Blackburn eventually pulled themselves away and out of it. A hat-trick for James Moss in this game for the Stars, as well as goals from Lucas Dowdle and Ian Brown. A hat-trick on the other side for Adam Barnes, and goals from Jack Brammer, James Royds, Liam Charnock and Jakob Hayek for the Hawks. And then Solihull, well, they had a tough one on Saturday. They did not on Sunday. As Sheffield, our poor friends at the Sheffield Scimitars, dropped to 0-25 as Solihull go absolute gangbusters. 14-2 is the first couple of overs of a 2020 game in cricket. As we drop our way down here, as you can see, multiple point nights for all and sundry. A 5-point night for Lucas Price, assists for 3 assist night for Louis Allen. So as we look at it, 2 goals apiece for Lucas Price, Dan Mulcahy and Taylor Nixon, and then goals as well from Alex White, Sam Chandler, Brandon Anderton, Jake Riley, Edgar Landsbergs, Jacob Race, Henry Adams, and Nicholas Otterson. The 2 goals for the Scimitars coming from Marcus Thacker and Jake Scott. As we drop down there, both Elliot Russon and Nick Winters getting some time between the pipes. Winters making 41 saves in 40 minutes before being replaced by Russon for the final period. Graham Laverick giving over the third period to Ben Lee, who is faultless through 20 minutes. Nottingham, however, did get something out of the weekend. After being smashed by Blackburn on Saturday, they beat Hull at home. They were a goal down to Charlie Powell's opener after 20 minutes, but goals from Ewan Woodward, Charles Owen and Luke Birchnell mean that the Lions get themselves a 7th win of the league campaign. Puts a smile on the face of Matt Glossop. Matt Bradbury and Paul Glossop, apologies. And then, as we know, this weekend, Cup semi-final weekend, all other action set aside, as we will find out by the end of the weekend who will be the Cup finalists in all 4 divisions across South and the North 1 and 2. Deeside take on Blackburn. Solihull take on Telford. So it'll be Deeside and Blackburn in North Wales on Saturday, Blackburn on Sunday. Things start for the Barons at Hobbsmoat Road on Saturday evening. They will conclude on Sunday in Shropshire. If we just scoot back up, we'll have a quick look at the league table, post those things, but we do have confirmation that because of the way things work out and because of tiebreakers, the Deeside Dragons officially are the 2nd team into the playoffs in North 1. And we obviously you have to associate with the fact that Telford will eventually get over that line after in the next couple of weeks. Solihull will also be there before too long as well. Really, that battle is there towards the bottom, but Leeds are quite a way behind at the moment. Luca has popped his head into the chat, still recovering. Also, I hate Witkowski. I don't blame you. Limiting Wick to a 1 point game on Saturday night might genuinely be one of the biggest achievements for me. Ha ha ha. You know what, young man? You faced the better part of 100 shots over 2 nights and only conceded 5 goals. There is your achievement, mate, because you are very good at what you do, and the fact you're able to. Widnes are a team that puts every ounce of effort into everything. They are not the greatest team in this division. We know that. They are not the deepest team in this division. But all you ask of your netminder is you give them an opportunity to win. You very much did that this weekend, young man. Keep that chin up and send our best to all of the boys on Merseyside into the bargain. Into South 1 then, Luca, and you thought that you had a tough weekend. Just you wait, mate, because there's some really fun ones coming here from South 1. On to the South Coast on Saturday night and a 3-0 shutout win for the Invicta Dynamo, slowly getting some bodies back after suspensions and their war in Gillingham against Slough. Daniel Gattenby getting things started early, and it was 2-0 by the end of the first period thanks to Luca Pasquale and a late goal from Jacob Ranson finishing things off. The Devils shut out at home, and as you can see here, Aaron Taylor facing 62 shots. But either way, big shout out, Nikolai Dival, a 35-shot shutout on the road. Very, very impressive stuff, young man. In the Challenge Cup on Saturday, it was a late drama between the Streatham Redhawks and the Chelmsford Chieftains. Aidan Doughty's game winner with 9 seconds to play gives Streatham a all-important points in the cup. The goals from the Redhawks in this one coming from Jared Lane, Luke Brittle and Alan Lack. The goals for the Chieftains coming from Regan O'Neill, Ollie Baldock and Halden Barnes-Garner. And then there's this debacle. Like I said, Luca, you thought you had a bad weekend. Somebody sent Brock and Evans just like a big bar of dairy milk. Because yes, as you can see there, Cardiff 0, Slough 18. Which is not a result we should be getting in competitive hockey, but as we know, we get some pretty lopsided results in Division 1 and Division 2 at times because they are slightly wider tents. But let's just scroll down for the fact that Cardiff had 11 shots to Slough's 77. And as we drop down here, we can see Brock and Evans and Gemma Davies conceding 9 goals apiece, but still making some decent amount of saves. Brock and Evans making 34 saves is pretty impressive stuff, all things considered, in what was a very tough night for the Fire. 4 goals for Connor Redmond, a hat-trick for Jacob Soper, 2 goals for Lewis English and Ollie Hemmings-Marr, and then goals from Juha Lindgren, Ed Cave-Humphrey, Jacob Minter, Harry Harmon, Timo Lindgren, Seb Moore and Harry Hatfield into the bargain. As we can see there, Matt Smittle taken out of the net after facing 8 shots through 40 minutes. Rory McGibbon in for the final 20. As we can see there, Brock and Evans and Gemma Davies basically splitting the game pretty much half and half. Both concede 9 apiece. Didn't get any better for Cardiff, albeit they did at least score the following night down in Chelmsford. But Chelmsford again putting some pretty impressive numbers as the Fire end up conceding 30 goals on the weekend across the 2 games, but at least some notable bits and pieces. Josh Paul getting himself a hat trick for the Fire in this game, and a first point at this level for Jacob Barnwell. As we all scroll down there, 54-23 the shots, a hat trick for Cam Bartlett and a hat trick as well for Tom Saw. 2 goals for Grant Bartlett, and then goals as well from George Beckett, Sasha Maltsev and Halden Barnes-Garner with his goal for his 4.9. As you can see there, Josh Paul with a hat trick for the Fire, 2.9 as well for Alfie Stone and Will Thurlber. Brandon Sains with the quiet night. Brock and Evans and Gemma Davies again getting some more time between the pipes. Slough scored 23 goals this weekend by themselves. They beat the Romford Buccaneers by 5-0. Christian Moore, 2 goals from Timo Lindgren and another goal from Ollie Hemmings-Marr and Harvey Harmon. Pretty impressive from Ollie Hemmings-Marr. 20 goals already this season. Really looking like a very promising prospect. I know Basingstoke are very keen to try and get him full time in the not too distant future. As we scroll down there, another one, 55 shots to 12. The Buccaneers only managing just about getting double-digit shots as Sonny Phillips makes 50 saves on the night. And then back in league action, it was drama on Saturday night for the Redhawks. It's a bit of an easier time for them on Sunday down at the Link Centre. I can hear Casey typing away as we type. Jake Williams with the lone goal for the hosts in this one, and then a few guys getting on the score sheet. Alan Lack with a 5-point night and 2 goals. Aidan Doughty with a 3-point night and 2 goals, and goals as well from Dylan Dix, JJ Pitchley and Ryan Watt. Yeah, look at that from Nikolai Dival. 7 goals on 51 shots is still pretty impressive, all things considered, to make 44 saves. As we usually, like I say, it should be completely clear for cup bits and pieces, but there is one league fixture this weekend in South 1 to fit bits and pieces in. Romford take on Cardiff down at the Sapphire on Saturday evening. Elsewhere in the semi-finals of the Cup, Solent, who knocked out Slough last year in the Cup, face the Jets again. There'll be a Gosport on Saturday and the Hangar on Sunday. Streatham take on Swindon Wildcats 2, or fresh off the back of that 7-1 victory. They are on the High Road on Saturday and the Link on Sunday. If we look quickly at the league table, Slough still top, still in the commanding position, but Streatham very much nipping away at their heels. The Fire aren't in the Goose Egg Club because they have an overtime win this season. They have won a game, but they will struggle. They at the moment will struggle to catch up with the Buccaneers. Just looking at the cup bits, as we see, there's the knockout cup. We will look very quickly. Where's the Challenge Cup gone? Because it's just a group stage thing here at the moment. Chelmsford have played 6 games and have 12 points. Slough have got 11. Streatham, if they win that remaining game against Invicta, will go top the Dynamos. Are bottom, having lost all 5 Challenge Cup games. I was at the Bucks Jets game. Now I've seen both. I can safely say the Bees Army are louder. Nottingham now 4-0 up. Thank you very much, Mark. Obviously quite hard to keep tabs on bits and pieces while we were looking at these. Into North 2 and an overtime winner from the Kingston Sharks gets them the extra point over the Billingham Buccaneers. Kieran Robinson, the man of the hour at the world's most versatile arena, to get the Sharks in some important points towards the playoffs as they defeat Billingham. Liam Grant and Ellis Martin with goals, 2 for Mackenzie Barker on a 5-point night. Which again, pretty impressive performance there from Mackenzie Barker. He's had a couple this season for the Sharks. Goals to the Buccaneers coming from Tom Fraser, Stephen Wallace, Michael Plant and Dan Capel. Like I say, look, pretty impressive as well there. 50 saves from Evan Byron Bates between the pipes for the Sharks. You might have seen the video doing the rounds from Saturday evening down at the Sky Dome, as Steve Crow and Stuart Cutting went knuckle to knuckle off the top of the third period there. But it is ultimately a win for the Coventry NHL Blaze. They beat Deeside Dragons 2 by a score of 6-3. Carl Bacon back on the score sheet in a Deeside jersey. That's going to be fun. Cutting as well, getting himself a full-on Gordie Howe. 1 goal, 1 assist, and the fight into the bargain. Lewis Edwards with the other goal for the Dragons. Goals for the Blaze. 2 from Ollie Harris, Arthur Brooks, Sam Prosser, and Nick Alley on the score sheet for the hosts. Billingham, though, they did get something out of the weekend as they travelled down to Bradford and put the Bulldogs firmly back in the pound. 10-2 win for the side from the North East in this one. Ben Derbyshire and Jared Knowles with goals for the Bulldogs. A hat-trick for Tom Fraser in this one, as well as goals from Lewis Hall, Stuart Jackson, Tom Cummings, Sam Dowd, Leighton Wilkinson, Kieran Wrench and Stephen Wallace. You can see there, Jack Maxivius pulled after conceding 10 goals and 22 shots. Pretty impressive third period, though, from Jake Lowndes, who's had a pretty decent year. A faultless 23-shot shutout third period from the Bulldogs, number 33. Deeside losing to Coventry, but they do get the points on Sunday away in Altrincham. A 7-4 win for Dragons 2 over the Altrincham Aces. Deeside, though, were 6-1 up in this one before getting a little bit lax in the third period. Altrincham pulling it back to 6-4 before Carl Bacon's goal about 12 minutes from time put this one firmly to bed. Goals for the Aces from Jake Frost, Josh Mills, and 2 from Ollie Gotts. Goals for the Dragons, 2 from Chris Jones, 1 from Cameron Krishnarenko, 1 from Cody Ogden, 1 from Ben Roscoe, 1 from Carl Bacon, and 1 from James Shaw. As you can see there, Finn Ogden as well, turning away 39 shots in this one. No extras, and only the one semi-final cup-wise this weekend. They're figuring out the other one in North 2, but Coventry and Billingham will do battle in the Sky Dome on Saturday and the Forum on Sunday. Just looking at it there, we have 4 qualified teams for the playoffs in North 2. Titans, Sting, Buccaneers and the Blaze are now fully into the postseason. As you see there, there's quite a substantial gap, one of 14 points between Dragons 2 in 5th and the Blaze in 4th. 32-18 is a hell of a drop off. The Lions are the ones on the outside looking in when it comes to the playoffs. Sutton and Sheffield, we'll figure out what they do. I will double check actually, because did we not have, if we go to England Ice Hockey and check their media, because why are they not? Because my understanding was it should be this weekend. Are they not doing something else? Let's just double check what it says here. No, they will go so the Titans and the Sting. Sheffield Titans versus Sutton Sting first leg is 5:10 on the 25th, and then the second leg at the moment is to be confirmed between the Sting and the Titans, which is a little bit of a shame. You would hope they would be able to get something sorted out of that one. Yes, no confirm 24th and 25th. That would make sense, yeah. At least we don't have to play Streatham again anytime soon. Oh wait, Duval was left out to dry on 1 or 2. Decourt sleeping with the puck. He pulled off some brilliant saves though, as there were some goals with some weird bounces. Yes, Duval guesting for Swindon off the back of Ben Clark Elite. Nobody else being available to play for them. So pretty impressive weekend all in all. Into South 2 then, as we wrap up the men's game with this one, and a solid win at home for Petr Cech between the pipes for the Haringey Huskies. A 17-shot shutout for the former Premier League winner, as the Huskies beat the Solent Junior Devils by a score of 5-0. Matt Ganas with 2 goals on the night, 2 for Ruskin Springer Hughes and a goal from Connor Smith in this one, as the Devils just unable to really get anything going at all. As you can see, there's 17-shot shutout for the number 39. A tough one, this one, for the Junior Devils. Greg Blaze started the game, was pulled for Tyler Campbell, who then got injured, and they just kept swapping everybody around back and forth. So between Blaze and Campbell, they both played about half the game, but as you can see there, Blaze playing parts of all 3 periods in what was a pretty tough game. Though good to see Janni Virtanen back out there after his recent injury. Elsewhere, could the Lee Valley, that we said this one would be an interesting one for the Lee Valley Lions, one to target as they would look to get themselves off the bottom of the table, but the Warriors take the points. They win by 6-2 away at Lee Valley, and push themselves a little bit more towards the playoffs. So as you can see, it's a pretty tempestuous game. A fight between Daniel Tamasauskas and Nick Green inside the first couple of minutes before a bit of an altercation, shall we say, towards the end there, as Carlton Witter thrown out for a check to the head, people giving roughing minors, misconduct minors, Taylor Chard thrown out for giving a misconduct for leaving the bench, and then at the end there, as you can see, fighting majors for Joe Miller and Robbie Dow both given game misconduct, and basically everybody getting a bit stuck in there as the teams combine for over 140 minutes worth of penalties and about 50 something shots. Goals for the Lions coming from Ollie Davies and Kobe Grinnell Park. Goals for the Warriors, 2 from Eden Rolfe, 1 from Evan Chard, and a hat-trick on the night for George Beckett. And well, we wondered whether they would spring a surprise, and they nearly did, but it wasn't enough. The Peterborough Phantoms advanced to 14-0, that they are run pretty close by the Oxford Rising Stars, who were behind and came back to tie the game at 2-2 and 3-3 before the Phantoms had that little bit extra and got themselves the full maximum points in this one as well. As you can see there, Peterborough outshooting Oxford 69-23, and look at that bench size into the bargain. A hell of a performance from the Rising Stars in this one. Danny Williams with 2, Jacob Smith and Griff Eaton Parish with the goals for the Rising Stars. Goals for the Phantoms, a hat-trick for Leo Markey, and goals from Dan Martin and Jordan Ho. Look at that though, from Kayla Poole, a 64 save performance from the Rising Stars number 33, and that is beyond impressive given the quality of opposition into the bargain there. A big win for the MK Thunder on the road in Gillingham. Golden rule number 1 at BOTW, DBAD. Golden rule number 2, never count out the Invicta Mustangs, but MK steal it, and they steal it late. Marks Canis with the goal 11 seconds from time takes all of the points back up the road to the Thunderdome in a huge win as the Thunder look to make sure that the playoffs are a certainty for them. 2 goals for Canis on the night, and another 2 as well for Xander Robinson. Ryan 1-4 with the other goal for the Thunder. Goals from the Mustangs from Aaron Ferris, Lloyd Fuller, Joe Bliss, and James Lamming into the bargain there. And as we can see, pretty impressive nights all round from both netminers, both Kieran White and Alfie Dugard doing the business there. And well, they need to try and keep pace on Peterborough, and they at least managed to do the job in this one. It was a late one on Sunday for the Guildford Phoenix. They travelled for a 7:30 face-off away in Bristol. Not sure whose great idea a 7:30 face-off on a Sunday night was. And also, as you can see, penalties galore late on. Misconducts for Harry Wright, misconducts for Ollie Schoen, chucked out in the third period as Sol Sudley as well was thrown out for a check from behind. You've probably as well seen the video doing the rounds as Joe Bricknell one-punched Jared Vigar but it's the Phoenix who end up with the points, and that is the important metric. Is that one on the scoreboard? Aidan McGurk with the lone goal for the Pitbulls in this one. For the Phoenix, 2 goals from Nick Minhinnick, 2 from Josh Abbott, and then goals as well from Sean Reynolds, Josh Sherrington, Luke Tull, and Scott Bailey. Happy birthday to Scott for the other day. As well on that one. A 20 saves performance from Oscar Minton between the pipes as Tim Lyons and Morgan Parsons both get action between the pipes for the Pitbulls. Could Lee Valley get any points on the weekend? No, but it is a maximum point weekend for the MK Thunder. A huge 6 points on the board for them as they win by 8-3 in Northeast London. A much tamer game than the one that came the night before. 2 goals for the Lions in this one from Vilius Krakauskas, excuse me, and the other goal coming from Alan Kafazov. For the Thunder, a hat-trick for Marks Canis, a big weekend for the Thunder's number 97. Another 2 goals on the weekend for Xander Robinson, as well as goals from Robert Oxley, James Bryan, and another one on the weekend, and a 4-point night for Ryan Wanfor. Don't count out the Invicta Mustangs. Well, after a frustrating Saturday evening where they had the point stolen at the death, Chelmsford would have been feeling a little bit of momentum. But this one in the Eddie Joseph Memorial Cup, it was all one-way traffic. 10 past the Warriors as the Mustangs put themselves in a really solid position in the Eddie Joseph with an absolutely dominant performance against their local rivals. 77-14, the shots on goal difference. As you can see there, the Warriors travelling a little bit on the short side. James Lehman with a hat-trick, 2 goals as well from Sam Oliver and 2 for Joe Bliss. Jake Stedman, Isaac Stubbins and Bradley Guttridge with the other ones there. 14-shot shutout for Heath Prentice. We don't have at the moment, although I thought we probably, because we will find out, we'll get the thing back up at the Mo for when the second leg of Invicta versus Guildford is, because obviously the issue for Guildford, the issue will be ice availability. Actually, no, it's the 30. He says this loading. It's the 31st is the second leg for that one. But yes, either way, Peterborough and Haringey will decide things this weekend. Saturday in Peterborough, Sunday at Alexandra Palace. What a way to finish off a semi-final that will be. First leg of Invicta versus Guildford is this Saturday down in Gillingham, and then Guildford versus Invicta second leg will be 5:30 p.m. on the 31st, because that's the weekend that the Flames are in Scotland. Doing a double header there, which obviously gives them some space. The Phoenix, though, because of the maths, have qualified for the playoffs as well. Not really a huge surprise on that front, probably expected, but they join Peterborough as having officially claimed the post-season. Chelmsford's win in the league certainly helps them, but they do have 2 games more played than the Slough Spitfires, who will fancy their chances at the post-season. Lee Valley still not mathematically out of it, but the gap is starting to grow both on them and the Junior Devils. If we just look at the Eddie Joseph Memorial Cup, as you can see there, still games to be played. Invicta have played 6 games already. Peterborough and Haringey in a pretty decent position, both still perfect at the moment in that competition. Big thanks to Andrew there. Final score from the NIC. HK Mogo 0, Nottingham Panthers 4. Brendan Harris, Diedrich Henbrandt we knew about. The other 2 goals coming from Brian Lemos and Jean-Bort Gorat, which I am told is the proper way to say his name. Thunder starting to find their feet in South 2. Nice to see the Thunder winning some games. Yeah, it was a bit of a wonky start. It took them a little while to really get going, but they do appear to have really kind of picked up. And as you saw this weekend, you know, there's a few guys like Mark Canis, like Xander Robinson, who can put the puck in the net. And there is a lot to be said when a team can kind of get on a roll. You know, could MK have a decent roster at Div 2 level? Could they be outsiders for springing a bit of a surprise in the playoffs? Remains to be seen. Actually, we scoot back. Actually, let's have a quick look at that again in South 2 as we're talking about that one. It's also going to help if I click the right button, since it's everybody. Let's just go up to the South 2 table. Here we are. So the playoffs started today. Peterborough versus Chelmsford, Guildford versus Oxford, Invicta versus MK. If the playoffs started today, and then Haringey versus Cardiff, which is an absolute travel nightmare for all concerned there. But MK versus Invicta. Now, never count out the Invicta Mustangs. That is the rule. But you have to think off the back of this weekend that MK, if the playoffs started today in South 2, MK would fancy that. and they would like that. That would not be beyond the realms of possibility for them. I genuinely do think though that at the moment, given they are much more inconsistent, but I think they seem to be a better quality side. I do think that Slough might overtake Chelmsford and take that last playoff spot. They could even get themselves up above Oxford, but the issue with Oxford is the quality is very much there, but they just don't seem to be able to quite do that next extra bit. But travelling to Oxford in a playoff game, no one's going to want to do that. Not even Guildford in this range. But obviously, a lot of road left to be travelled. A lot still left to be done. Questions, comments, thoughts, feelings as we edge towards the end of the show. And of course, that means that we only have one thing left to do, which is have a look at bits and pieces from across the WNIHL. He says, quickly pulling up his notes that Andrew very, very kindly prepared for him. So as we talked about as well, the women's under 18 Division 1 Group B, the games that we didn't get to last week because they've now been played. GB losing 4-3 to Poland last Saturday. Rebecca Wozlinski with 2 goals and Olivia Bath with the other one there as GB dropped their 4th game of the tournament. But a big win on the last day, beating Australia by 4-1. Another 2 goals for Rebecca Wozlinski, as well as goals from Miley Drazy and Isabella Zidzinska. I'm really sorry, my Polish pronunciation is really, really appalling. What that means, though, is China won the gold medal, Poland silver, Austria bronze. GB finishing a pretty respectful 4th place overall, given the quality of opposition in that group, with 6 points, 4 points adrift of the bronze medal. Spain with 3 points in 5th. Australia relegated back to Division 2, 0 points on the tournament for them. In terms of the results from last weekend, he says, just quickly flicking through a few bits and pieces. From the Frank Wright Development Conference, as we talked about, actually what we'll do is we'll talk about that when we get to... we'll talk about it now. The Frank Wright Development Conference from the West. Slough Sirens Odyssey 1, Cardiff Commons Development 0. Natalie Sinclair with the lone goal for the Sirens Odyssey to give them the win there. We can see there as well, as we go towards North 1, an 8-1 win for the Caledonia Steel Queens against the Widnes Wild. A hat-trick in this one from Hannah Brockanier, as well as goals from Jess Bridger, Vicky Carson, Claire Turnbull, Ruth Carmichael and Kat Eastwood. Ellen Tyra with the lone goal for the Wild in that one. Just loving a look there. What's popped up in the chat? I'll touch on that one in a minute then, Jamie. South won an 8-4 win for the Chelmsford Cobras on the high road against Streatham Storm 2. A hat-trick in this one from Charmaine Easton, as well as 2 goals from Urena Neradova. Brittany Stoneman, Tilly Howe and Kirsty Lake with the other goals for the Cobras. A hat-trick for the home side from Rachel Hathorn, Amy Robbery with the other goal there. North 2 Valerie Conference, and a big win for Kingston Diamonds 2. They beat the Telford Wrekin Raiders by 11 goals to 1. Goals galore in this one. A hat-trick for Isabella Oswin, 2 goals each for Kerry Greaves and Caitlin Payton, and Erica Proud, Melissa Veal, Carla Clark and Eva Rezi with the other goals for the Diamonds. Jade Poxon with the lone goal for the Wrekin Raiders. 2-2 in the other game in North 2 Valerie, between the Leeds Roses and Whitley Bay Beacons. Whitley Bay Beacons 2. Claire Rankin and Jessica Holgate for the hosts. Joy Hurst and Megan MacArthur for the Whitley Bay Beacons. North 2 Elizabeth, and it was a pretty solid win for the Caledonia Steel Queen Bees. 13-2 win over Kingston Diamonds 3. The fact that Kingston can put 3 teams into the WNIHL is still pretty impressive. Shannon Tong and Dawn Dickinson with the goals there for the Diamonds. And then, he says, taking a deep breath, 5 goals for Mara Phillips, a hat-trick for Katie Gorton Phillips, 2 goals for Charlie Day, and then goals as well from Georgie Day, Zoe Galloway and Rebecca Nixon for the Steel Queen Bees. The other side, we don't have goal scorers for this one, but as you can see, the Nottingham Vipers 2 getting themselves back to winning ways. They dominate the Leeds Thorns by 11 goals to 0. Into the South 2, Valerie, and as Andrew, I believe, like I say, had the double header of the league game followed by the development game. In the league game, though, it was another win as well for the Slough Sirens. They take both games between themselves and the Cardiff Comets respective sides in that one. 3-1 win for the Sirens. Bob Alder, Kat Losnitzer and Perry Edmiston with the late short-hander there as well to make it 3-1 for the Sirens. Bethan Williams with the lone goal for the visitors. For Oxford Midnight Stars win their big local game against the Solent Amazons. Jodie West Attrell with 2 goals for the Midnight Stars. Sophia Fajic with the other goal for Oxford. Louise Beresford with the lone goal for the Amazons. And in South to Elizabeth, Coventry 3, Lee Valley 1, no goal scorers on that one. Elsewhere, as we can see in quite a lot of games in under 16s North, Billingham with a big win over the Sheffield Shadows, 7 goals to 4 up at the Forum for them. And then, well, another cricket score, Caledonia Iron Maidens 19, Kingston Diamonds 3, which is pretty bonkers. And then a big win for the Whitley Bay under 16s. They win away in North Wales against the Eastside Dragons by a score of 8-0. Just the one game in under 16 South. The MK Storm welcomed the Ice Bees, but all the buzz was for the visitors, a 3-0 victory for the Ice Bees in Milton Keynes. We're running a bit late because we talked an awful lot about a lot of bits and pieces, but we have covered the lot. Every game from every division across all of British hockey, all done, all there, and that means we will open the door. Questions, comments, thoughts, feelings, anything you want to chuck in the chat. Let's talk about it now before we wrap up for another week and head off into the sunset. Thank you as always for joining us as we touch on every single game. As we like to say, from Leeds to from Belfast to Bradford, Leeds to Lee Valley, we will cover the lot, and we have covered the lot. And we are the only show to do so that will take you through every single fixture of every single division. There we go. Another cracking one, all things considered. We did a pretty impressive thing, all things considered. Really enjoyed that one. Lots of pretty crazy results. Like I say, Slough scoring 23 goals in 2 nights was pretty impressive. Kilmarnock still not managing to find a way. Neither do the Scimitars. We will we still wait on them finding a way to get any points at all on the board. But there is still a lot of hockey left to be played, so we will see what happens there. But like I say, anything you want to chuck in, please do. Lots of it, like I say, it's been a pretty wonky week. We of course will wait to see what comes out of the NIHL DOPS for Basingstoke and for Solway. A pretty like I say, a pretty bizarre sort of circumstance, but sometimes as well it is good to let teams have a bit of a needle at each other. It does make the game interesting, does give them a sense to play for, and these are 2 sides both having both chasing the playoffs. Just looking at the Continental Cup with Panthers and Herning both winning today. What it means tomorrow that you get is Katowice of Poland taking on Mogo of Latvia, and Torpedo from Kazakhstan taking on the Herning Blue Fox. We will see what happens tomorrow in the Continental Cup. Do keep your tabs on bits and pieces. If you're watching the games, do enjoy them. Jono's doing a lot of them. Jono Bullard is superb. Or the other way, if you don't want to shirk out for all the streams, do keep an eye on things on BBC Radio Nottingham. Of course, Chris Gadsby, who was former guest here on the What's Current stream, is doing a lot of stuff for BBC Radio Nottingham. Do check in with those as well. Obviously, and of course, keep tabs on all the bits and pieces. Nikki from 4000 Accounting was over at the winter game in Berlin, between Berlin and Dresden. Over in Dresden, froze himself into an icicle. But lots of fun bits and pieces in that. New Slapshot Syndicate is out today. New Macca's Talk Hockey is out. They've interviewed Jonas Bennett of the Leeds Knights. Really should be a really interesting one. That's on my rotation for tomorrow to listen to. Lots of good stuff going around. New 3-on-3 podcast this week. New EIHL Face Off this week with Stephen and Jordan. New, of course, a view from the bridge last night. Tons of good stuff to check out. So, like I say though, let me, questions, comments, thoughts, and feelings into the chat before we head out. But yeah, a busy week actually for me, which works out quite well because I would say 4 games in 8 days, where I'll be commentating Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, and the following Sunday, and then I have a week off work, and then the Flames are not at home, and I'm off to Belfast. So next Wednesday night, of course, Guildford versus Belfast. There will be no What's Current stream because I will naturally be in Guildford, and that will be It will mean we will reconvene on Friday. Of course, do tune in if you want to on Wednesday night. Tune in and watch us. Where you've got the choice of Guildford versus Belfast and Peterborough versus Sheffield in the cup. By all means, go knock yourself out in that one. Yeah, I believe did you have I skipped past the fixtures in the WNIHL, Andrew, and I just completely not paid attention to what's going on? That was very special of me. What have I done there? Let's go back the way. What have I done? Have I skipped past? Have I not looked at the bottom? What have I done? I can't get my phone to work now. That's very unhelpful. Have you put the fixtures at the bottom? I've just skipped past this. Yes, you have. My apologies, Andrew. I should have checked that out. This coming Saturday then, WNHL 1 North, Solway versus Widnes is a 250 face-off at Dumfries. South 1, Cambridge Kodiak, Streatham Storm. So Dave can keep tabs on that one. North WNHL North 2 Valerie, Leeds Roses versus Blackburn Hawks Women is a Saturday game. And then Leeds Valley Vampires versus Coventry Phoenix on Saturday as well in South 2 Elizabeth. Sunday, back. Are we actually having an Elite League game? I thought it was a bit later that they were coming back. Solihull versus Streatham at Hogsmeade Road on Sunday the 18th. South 1 sees MK Falcons versus Chelmsford Cobras. In South 2 Elizabeth, MK Falcons 2 versus Bristol Huskies 2, and Invicta Dynamics versus the Lee Valley Vampires. And then one game in under 16s North, Kingston Diamonds Manchester Storm is a 12:30 p.m. face-off on Sunday at Hull. There we go. Thank you, Andrew. Had to be should have scrolled down the email further. That's on me, mate. So apologies for that. But yeah, plenty of bits and pieces to keep you occupied this hockey for the next little while, hockey wise. Like I say, an interesting one for me. My first double, my first sort of, 2 home game weekend. It is the only one this season actually for the Flames. But like I say, a really busy run of games. I'm going to have to be organised as to how I approach it. Organised as to how I get myself prepared, and just got to look after myself as well. Like I said, the really useful thing is that it will be then I do have time off, so I will finish commentating on Sunday night, which will be Guildford versus Nottingham, and then I will curl up in a ball. I think is the best thing. Certainly that Monday I might just have a quiet day at home. Might be the best one on that one. But yeah, last call for bits and pieces before we head off into the sunset. Codex versus Storm is always a strong battle. I'll be there with my kids for sure. Awesome. That's what we like to hear, Dave. Certainly, like I say, they have been. It's been fantastic. So getting those little updates from you as we go through. As we hear about sort of different teams. Obviously, we can't give every team the same attention every week. So the fact that we're able to kind of have a little bit of a little chat about different clubs and have that chat about women's hockey into the bargain. Obviously, really enjoy it. We're just having a just double checking a message somebody has sent me. Just having a look. Oh, Deacon Fielder's gone live. Is that Deacon Fielder going live? No, that's him wanting to stream, but he's going to talk about it later. Just get rid of this. Really. There we go. But either way, great to talk about different things, about different clubs, about different teams. Great to hear people's thoughts on on how their teams have done so far. Grade wise, Bison C, just because the results I don't think have been quite there. But I think it's like I say, it is still a free hit year for the Bison, but I think they should make the playoffs. I think they have the quality to do so. I think for the Flames, you have to probably give them a C as well, a low C, but still a C. Their inconsistencies and their issues are a lot of their own making at times on the ice, but they have done very well to be very resilient with the fact they have lost. I was trying to do some maths the other day. In the league, they've lost over 100 man games to injury. In the Challenge Cup, where you think they played 10 games, they lost 43 man games to injury in a tournament where at the minimum, whereas a max you will play, if you don't qualify, you play 10 games. and they lost 43 to injury, and has still managed to at least, give a good half a decent fist of it. So, like I say, C's for both, I think, but the Bison probably get a little bit of a higher C. I think contextually they have achieved more in that space. But, should be said, I've had a whale of a time this year. It's strange, like I say, not going to as many places. It's been odd doing things in a very, very different way. But, like I say, I think I'm making a pretty good fist of being a commentator on a regular basis. So, and everyone seems to be having fun. And, of course, that's the joy of this. We come back on whether it's a Wednesday or a Friday and chat about all of this and just have a bit of a whale of a time. And it's good fun. And we like it. And it's great having you all here. I think we'll call it there. Bannersonthewall.wordpress.com, your number one source for, number one website for all bits and pieces related to British hockey. Join me on my commentary journey via In the Box Thinking, where you get some insight and a breakdown from inside the commentary box at the Guildford Spectrum as I commentate on the Elite League for the Guildford Flames. Any other big games I go to, I'll write those up as well. Whether it's Running with the Herd, whether it's Banners on the Road, we will figure that one out. Like I said, commentary-wise, there should be some news coming soon on some other bits and pieces. Will you get the Buffalo back? Eventually they'll be named by Bison 2, and I'll be cross about it, and I will tell the club really strongly on that one, Dave. Elsewhere on the website, hockey stories, long form, in-depth bits and pieces, stuff to read, stuff to listen to, plenty of things there as we edge towards our 15th anniversary. Banners on the Wall will be 15 years old on the 24th of March. Give me some ideas as to what you want to see for our birthday, please, because I'm struggling to think of what to do. But either way, like I said, 15 years worth of stuff over on the website for you to check out. Head down into the description. It's got the links to all of our socials. We are on X, we are on Facebook, we are on Blue Sky. There's also the link as well to our virtual busking hat at buymeacoffee.com/BOTW. Just helps keep the lights on, keep the wheels spinning. Like I said, going to be making some changes post this bonkers run of games and bits and pieces like that. I've got some ideas for the stream, I've got some ideas for other bits and pieces. Going to give some stuff a go. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but we'll give it a go and see how it all works. So yeah, go down there, like I say, also all the YouTube bits and pieces. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It'd be great to try and get ourselves as close to 500 subscribers as soon as possible. Just keep trying to push on. We do fight the algorithm because we talk about niche stuff like the Lee Valley Vampires and the Coventry Phoenix. But you know what? British hockey is great, and we want to talk about all of British hockey, not just one little tiny bit of it. And we want to shed that light on all of those bits and pieces. I know lots of people are really, really good in their fields, but let us be your gateway to go and finding other bits and pieces, and go and enjoy stuff. And like I say, next Wednesday, tune into Flames TV and listen to me talk your way through Guildford versus Belfast. We'll be back next Friday evening, the 23rd of January, for the next edition of the What's Current Stream, the only show that goes live and talks about every game from across every division of British hockey, male and female. Thank you very much once again for taking some time out of your week to talk British hockey with us. It is always appreciated. I love doing this. The whole thing has always been a labour of love for a decade and a half, but I don't regret spending time chatting hockey with you guys on a Wednesday evening or a Friday evening or whenever, because it's just fun and I really, really enjoy it. And I hope to, like I say, thanks for all the support for bits and pieces. We roll in 2026. Be happy. And if you can't be happy, then wherever you are, please do everything you can to please be safe. As my friend Scotty Woz would say, take care of yourself and somebody else. For bannersonthewall.wordpress.com, this is Anthony Russell saying stay safe. And so long until next time. Like I say, catch some commentary, like stuff, share stuff, do all those kind of things. But most importantly, let's have a good weekend enjoying our hockey wherever you find it. We will catch you next Friday. Next Friday, because the new adventure has to take precedence next Wednesday. Have a good one. Take care. We'll see you.